What's up, geeks and gamers? It's Jeremy coming to you with another video, and today we are talking about the disaster known as Disney's Star Wars, something we have not talked a lot about recently because it's completely irrelevant. But a few things have happened recently that have confirmed many things that we have said over the years. Specifically, right here with the rise of Skywalker costing nearly $600 million, Disney's under budget disaster likely lost money. Well, it did lose money, and you probably noticed that we're on the new geeksandgamers.com website, so make sure you go and check that out. But this story right here really is eye-opening because we know how big of a disaster the Rise of Skywalker was. We witnessed it. And we're now getting very close to the 10-year anniversary of The Force Awakens. And when The Force Awakens initially released, there was fanfare from everywhere. You had the prequel generation, you had the OG trilogy generation, you had this new generation of Star Wars fans. Everyone was kind of merging together to celebrate Star Wars, and The Force Awakens broke box office records, shattered every record you could imagine at the time. I believe it did nearly $1 billion domestically here in the United States of America, by far still the record for highest domestic gross ever. And they had all the momentum in the world, and they ruined that in such a short period of time. And then we get to the Rise of Skywalker, which I still think is probably the worst of any of the Disney movies from Star Wars. I mean, The Last Jedi was terrible, but The Rise of Skywalker truly was unbelievably bad in so many different ways, and it managed to piss off everyone. I mean, at least as bad as The Last Jedi was, at least there was a fan base for that movie, a smaller fan base, but still a fan base, people that actually would defend it. No one defended The Rise of Skywalker, and they essentially lost 50% of their audience from The Force Awakens all the way to The Rise of Skywalker. And J.J. Abrams has not directed a film since. No J.J. Abrams movies since The Rise of Skywalker. Absolutely insane. But here we are with this, and I mean, it's just interesting to go through it. And we're not going to read the whole article, but I would urge you to go over to geeksandgamers.com and check the whole thing out. But as Marvin says right here, so much for budget control. According to a new Forbes report from entertainment journalist Caroline Reed, Disney Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker cost Disney a jaw-dropping $593 million, making it the third most expensive movie ever made. This puts it right behind The Force Awakens and Jurassic World Dominion, both of which were also filmed in the United Kingdom under similar tax incentive programs. Let that sink in. Nearly $600 million for a film that many fans rank near the bottom of the Star Wars saga. And I rank it at the bottom. I don't think there's anything redeeming about The Rise of Skywalker. With The Last Jedi, look, at least it's well shot. At least it's pretty to look at. Like, I don't even recall any interesting shots in The Rise of Skywalker. I mean, it really was an awful movie. The numbers that we know, normally Hollywood hides the true cost of its blockbusters behind vague studio accounting and industry estimates. But because of The Rise of Skywalker was filmed in the UK, the financials couldn't stay buried. As Reed explains to Forbes, studios filming in the UK get a reimbursement of up to 25.5% of the money they spend on the country provided that at least 10% of the movie's core costs are incurred there. In order to demonstrate this to the authorities, studios set up separate companies to produce each film in the UK, and they are obliged to file legally binding financial statements. That legal requirement created a paper trail that exposed Disney's spending in full. And this gives us a rare moment of transparency and how Disney spent over $500 million and called it a win, because Disney did try to spin this and say it was a win. This is after Solo lost money. Now, Rise of Skywalker has lost money. Why did it lose money? Because they don't understand anything about Star Wars. And do you know how we know that? Because we have two eyes and we watched it ourselves. But don't take my word for it. How about the man that created Star Wars, George Lucas? This just recently was talked about on social media, George Lucas, when asked if he has moved on from Star Wars, quote, Disney took it over and they gave it their vision. That's what happens. Of course, I've moved past it. I mean, I've got a life. This is the quote that every single Star Wars fan should listen to. Star Wars is not representative of anything that George Lucas created. It is nowhere near what you grew up and loved. It means nothing anymore. It is a social justice propaganda machine for Disney. That's what it is. The man himself is sitting here telling you that. We have been telling you this for almost a decade now. Some of us for right at when The Force Awakens came out. Not me. I was fooled, but many people were not fooled. A lot were. And then The Last Jedi came out and exposed all of this. And now here we are with the man himself finally kind of planting that flag to say, I've moved on. I've got a life. And this is George Lucas, man. Like, we would not have Star Wars if it was not for George Lucas. This man is a living legend. He has created one of the greatest IPs in history. And Disney has taken so much of that life and spit on it and destroyed it. And now he is at a point where he has just completely walked away. And he represents the fan base that has been talking about this since The Last Jedi. People have to realize it's dead and it's over. It doesn't mean Disney's not going to continue to produce stuff. It just means that his vision and what he created does not exist anymore. They're going to bring out the Mandalorian and the Baby Yoda movie. Who cares? I think that that's going to have absolutely disastrous box office returns personally, but time will tell. I think there was probably a time when you could have released a Mandalorian movie that it actually would have done something, but they pissed away all the goodwill that they had for the Mandalorian as well, because this is what they do, because there's nothing sustainable about what Disney does with Star Wars, because it's run by people that fucking hate Star Wars and they hate Star Wars fans. So there's nothing that is sustainable about this. Nothing at all. This is where we are. And as I just saw right here, yeah, so 10 years ago today, the trailer for The Force Awakens was released right here. 10 years ago today. I can't believe how bad things have gotten since this moment. This was an iconic trailer at the time. And I believe this is the one where Kylo Ren talks for the first time. Yeah, this is the one where Kylo.
Nothing will stand in our way. I will finish what you started.
There are stories about what happened.
It is amazing how much they have screwed this up since that moment, with all of that momentum and all of that goodwill and all of that faith that people had in them, and it means absolutely nothing. This is Disney Star Wars. All of you freaks, all of you pronouns and bio weirdos that have been calling us racist and sexist for years and saying you didn't want us part of the Star Wars fandom. Well, we're not part of it anymore. And guess what? Star Wars is an irrelevant, dead brand, because the company cannot rely on all of these freaks because they don't spend money on any of this stuff. This is where Disney Star Wars is. And George Lucas has completely walked away from it. But yeah, if you guys want more information on this situation with the rise of Skywalker's budget, please go over to geeksandgamers.com, our brand new website, brand new editorial process that we have over there. We have merged with That Park Place and a lot of exciting stuff. We also have merged with Ripasend, so our merch is over there on geeksandgamers.com. We have a few featured items right now. If you're interested, we have the Geeks and Gamers hat, we have the CobraCast t-shirt, we have the Geeks and Gamers Online Original, and we have the I.199 flag t-shirt. Those will be available for a limited time. Make sure you go check those out. Very exciting times indeed. But you guys have a great day. Thank you very much for checking out this video, and we will talk to you later.